My name is Sho and today I want to talk to you guys about the environment. So currently the environment is heading towards a negative direction because of global warming. So for those of you who don't know what global warming is, it's the gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth. And this could lead to a lot of problems. Things that are already happening are the polar ice caps are melting and sea levels are rising. But the worst thing that could happen because of global warming is that the Earth will become so hot that it will become unlivable. So what can we do to prevent these damages? Well, we should create regulations for pollution. And there's actually an agency that's already established that does this. It's called the Environmental Protection Agency, and it was created in 1970 by environmental scientists. It still exists today, but it's not doing a good job, which leads me to my main claim. My main claim is that Scott Pruitt, the current director of the Environmental Protection Agency, is failing to promote a cleaner and healthier environment for the American people. Now I know with a claim like this, I sound crazy. I sound like someone that's conspiring against Scott Pruitt with a bunch of red strings all attached to him. But I can guarantee you with my two supporting claims that he will agree with me by the end of this speech. So my first supporting claim is that he's more interested in business rather than the environment. Scott Pruitt is a climate change denier despite the overwhelming consensus. In 2016, in a conservative magazine article in National Review, he wrote, "That debate of climate change is far from settled. Scientists continue to disagree about the degree and extent of global warming and its connection to the actions of mankind." So the issue with this statement is that he has no scientific background and he's going against scientists that have studied data over numerous amount of years. And according to NASA, 97% of climate experts agree humans are causing global warming. And to add on to the fact that I think that Scott Pruitt is more interested in business rather than the environment, before he was director of the Environmental Protection Agency, he was the Oklahoma Attorney General. And during this time, he sued the Environmental Protection Agency multiple times for trying to implement environmental regulations. An example of this would be in 2015 when the Environmental Protection Agency proposed the Clean Power Plan. So what this act was planning to do was it was trying to propose regulating carbon pollution from power plants, and Scott Pruitt sued the EPA because of this. So why would he do this? Well, this leads me to my second supporting claim. It's because Scott Pruitt is being lobbied by the fossil fuel industry. According to the Washington Post, there were multiple emails released that showed his ties with fossil fuel industry. An example would be a conversation with him and Devon Energy. Devon Energy is an oil and gas production company, and in a thread of emails, they were discussing a potential act to be passed that talked about regulations of methane emissions. So this kind of shows that he's working with fossil fuel industries to go around laws and help them. And another thing to add on to this, according to an article by the Huffington Post, he received multiple donations from major oil and gas companies, electricity providers, coal producers, and conservative think tanks in the time when he served as Oklahoma's Attorney General. So this shows that most of his political career is being funded by these giant corporations. So just to review, my main claim is that Scott Pruitt, the current director of the Environmental Protection Agency, is failing to promote a cleaner and healthier environment for the American people, and my two supporting claims is that Scott Pruitt is more interested in business rather than the environment, and Scott Pruitt is being lobbied by the fossil fuel industry. Thank you.
All right, well, the proposition is introduced with some background information about global warming, and then you identify what the main proposition is. It is phrased appropriately, that's fine. It's a little complicated, but it ultimately makes a claim of fact. You preview what the secondary points are. There are only 2 of them. That keeps it pretty simple, so that's fine. On the first point, you basically start by making the claim that he is a climate change denier, and the proof of that is that you've got a quote that says, "The science on this is far from settled." That doesn't exactly scream, denier in my mind. That seems to suggest that there is doubt as about how much, and I think he even said how much climate change is affected by human activity and what actions would influence it. And I'm not sure that constitutes somebody who says there is no such thing as climate change. So I think that is a little bit of a stretch. I think you could also argue some more information about his actions as Attorney General, for instance, to clarify that point. Your second point is talking about the fossil fuels and how he's been lobbied by the fossil fuels industry, and you use an example of an email thread. But on the first point, you make one reference to a particular case where he sued the EPA over a power plant act, which I'm not exactly sure demonstrates that he's not an environmentalist. It might demonstrate that he, as Attorney General, is objecting to something about the act. You don't explain what it is that the act does and what the basis of the lawsuit was. There could be plenty of legal issues that have nothing to do with the environmental concerns that are going on there. And it's a presupposition that if you disagree with the EPA, that you're against the environment. And I'm not sure that that's a safe presupposition to make. All right, the second point is a little clearer. You basically argue that he's kind of at the mercy of the fossil fuel companies. You've got some information that suggests that his campaigns as Attorney General were financed largely by the fossil fuel industry. That information is not given very specifically. There's a vague reference to multiple donations as Attorney General. But again, every time I think that there's a big inferential leap that you're making there. The evidence of talking about the email chain, I think, is more valid if you could show that the discussion was how to thwart these activities. But that's not exactly what I heard in the evidence that you said. It simply said that they discussed this activity. If it was affecting a business and the business contacted him and he's responding to it, they're having a discussion over it. I think you need to demonstrate that he is like in cahoots with the industry to prevent this, and you're awfully, this is like the most circumstantial evidence at all. Oh my gosh, you were standing in the room at the time the murder was committed, so you must have done it. There's got to be something, I think, a little bit more substantial to reach that conclusion. All right, thank you.